You think strings are just pretty?
Think again.
I got asked to add a hillbilly twist to the string arrangement, and I think it's gonna blow your mind. Hi, I'm Harley, and I'm here to help you create more emotional music. While I started out studying classical cello, over the years I stepped out and explored bluegrass, Celtic, and folk playing styles. And today I'm going to show you how I use all of those influences to take a demo I got from a producer and turn it into something that blends this ethereal, cinematic, world-building energy with Appalachian-inspired energy. And this video isn't just about how I created a string arrangement. It's about how you, as an artist or producer, can push your creative boundaries and tell better stories with your music. So as a kid, I spent years learning to play music that had been written hundreds of years ago with this intense technicality and precision. And don't get me wrong, that gave me a solid foundation. I'm grateful that I did it. But over time, I started to feel boxed in by that. I wanted to do more than just play the notes on a page. I wanted to create and experiment and tell my own stories. That's when I discovered Celtic and bluegrass music. It was completely different. It was raw, expressive, and full of this creativity and emotional energy. That discovery gave me the freedom to reimagine what the cello could do, and that's completely changed my relationship to music since then. These days, for me, it's all about taking that technical precision I learned from classical music and combining it with that raw emotional expression. And lucky for me, that's exactly what this song was asking for. So let's hop into the DAW. All right, so the song we're looking at today is called Samantha, and it's by Victoria Carble, and it's produced by Alyssa Wilkins. When I first got the demo, I could tell that it had the bones of something really great, but it just needed a little something to push it over the edge. So this is the demo that I got. The intro, beautiful. You hear the rain sounds, you hear the guitar, simple, sparse. But I wanted something more. I wanted it to start that cinematic, ethereal, world-building energy. And so you can hear the intro that they gave me with what I did. And it's just 4 cellos. You can see right here. It's just these 4. I think it's a 5th there. Those 2 notes. Just doubled, panned left, right. It's kind of how I love doing things. Cranked through some reverb. And it's beautiful. And together, that creates the energy that I think that's at least closer to what we were going for. So then Victoria jumps into verse 1, and it's doing what it needs to do. I didn't want to kind of give the string stuff away early. I like to add a little bit of that stuff up top, kind of as foreshadowing of where we're going. So you hear verse 2 kind of bring that back. We had foreshadowed this. And we added that thing back in. It's doing its thing. Nothing complicated, just 2 parts. But here's where it gets interesting. I wanted to start foreshadowing some of the changes that come later. And listen to this solo cello here. A very different character. It's a lot closer, it's a lot more intimate, and it's a lot less classical sounding. Not that the ethereal stuff is very classical. It's just a little more orchestral, a little more cinematic. And this is a lot more improv-y, this big slide. So you can tell something is gonna change later. Added in these low parts. I'm gonna mute the demo they sent me here. So this is just the strings you're hearing now. Just gives it some depth. I'll show you what I mean by that. You can hear this chorus. It's close. It's kind of on your ears. It feels very intimate. But sometimes I want things to feel like there's more depth to the room. And it feels like, I always think of that image of switching on a light in the back of a theater. There's a sense of space and depth. And more so when the strings are a little more appropriately balanced. Like that. It just gives you that sense of space that you're looking for in something like this. Okay, so I keep talking about what we're foreshadowing, that there's this hillbilly twist. And what we wanted to do here is start having things pivot. to be a very different energy by the end of the song. So it starts out cinematic and it ends in a very different place. So the way that I start doing that after the foreshadowing things I've talked about already, I wanted to introduce a sense of rhythm in verse 3. So you hear the kick that Alyssa brought in here. But then what I did, I've got these two cellos panned that just give it a sense of drive here. It's really subtle. But those two rhythms, one in each ear, working differently. It does this really interesting thing that I love having as a shift in the energy of a song. But that's not the only thing happening there. The other thing going on, I'm just going to isolate the strings. And you've got those low sections droning in there. And that part up top. And it says violin stem on here. It implies that it's a violin, obviously, since that's what it says. But what I'm doing here is, it's called false harmonics on the cello. It's where you put your thumb on the string to actually push down the string, and then you play a harmonic here. And it's hard because the relationship, the distance between your fingers changes as you move it. So I'm not technically the best cellist, and I find this very challenging, but I absolutely love doing it in arrangements. So it's worth the million takes it takes for me to pull it off. And so actually what I'm doing here, it's that false harmonic on top, and then the octave below it, played as its own note. So layering those two gives it a whole other sense of texture. It kind of does this crazy thing that feels otherworldly. And so that's back to that ethereal world building we're talking about here. The way it floats on top and then interacts with Victoria's voice. It lifts out of that line she sings. So you hear we've got the rhythmic elements that we're building to. We've got these moving lines that build that sense of space. So we're starting to go somewhere here. Okay, and we're back into the chorus here, and we've got that low element introduced. And here is something that I don't often do. Check this out. The bottom note on a cello is a low C. But you can see here, that is a B flat. So I actually had to take my cello and tune it down, what is that? A whole step. So I'm playing all of this on the lowest string, but it's detuned, so it sounds more like a bass. It's a little crazy. I kind of want to do it more, but it's exhausting. Having to relearn what notes I'm playing and retune. But project like this, totally worth it. I love the sound it got. So this bridge is the real pivot point of the song. We start out the bridge in this ethereal world. By the end of this bridge, I'll show you where it goes. But here's where we're starting. So you hear kind of that drone with occasional little rhythm things. A little bit of the solo happening. Decidedly not classical there. But by the end of this bridge, check this out. We're fully in the world that we're going to, but with elements of what we came from. So you hear those chugging rhythms through there. And then we're building, we're swelling. And then this is the world that we're ending up in. So you'll notice that this ending section, it has a completely different feel from the beginning of the song. And that's what made this so interesting and challenging to work on. I knew that it needed to get to a smaller ensemble of strings with primarily rhythmic drive from the false harmonics, like ethereal high stuff. So here's what we're doing here. You've got this low rhythm. Got a solo on it. got several interlocking rhythm parts. And they all provide feel and drive. All of the strings together. And then with the track they sent me. So it's a lot more hillbilly by the end than it was in the beginning. I'll give you a little reminder of where we started this out. Finger-picking guitar, really soft, reverby strings, and then we're ending it in this place where I'm kind of just going crazy on a lead solo. And then, of course, Alyssa was able to take those strings, fit them into the production, and finish building that out. That is a very rough demo that they sent me of what it ended up being. This production went to a phenomenal place, and I was super blown away. But I think that the contrast between those ethereal sections and that Appalachian-inspired energy is what makes this arrangement work. It starts somewhere and ends somewhere different. It takes you on a journey. And I think that's what good productions should all try to do, at least in some form. So what are the key takeaways from this process? Here's the things I want you to remember. String arrangements aren't just pretty, they're powerful storytelling tools. You can use them to build worlds, evoke emotions, and take your listeners on journeys that other instruments, and I know I'm biased, but just can't do. You said you had never seen. Second thing, don't be afraid to experiment. Whether it's combining genres, trying new techniques, or just taking risks, the best productions come from stepping outside your comfort zone. The last thing, try thinking about your arrangements as if you were a novelist building a world. Every element should set your listener in a time and place and feeling and really tell a story. Your unique background, whether it's classical, bluegrass, jazz, hip-hop, whatever it is, that combination of things that you've experienced gives you an edge. No one else has the exact same set of references, taste, or experiences that you do. For years, I thought that being obsessed with both Dvorak and NSYNC was weird and some weakness. But I've realized over the years that it's what set me apart and gave me the skill set to now do what I do. So find what makes you unique and embrace it as a strength. If you found this video helpful, it would mean the world to me if you shared it with a musician who might also get something out of it. And as always, like, subscribe, do all those YouTube-y things. And if you're an artist or producer looking to elevate your next project with an emotional string arrangement, hit me up. I would love to work with you and help you bring your vision to life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.